think obviously first things first, the reason I'm in a coffee shop is because I like to have a coffee. I tend to train fasted. Why? Because I don't really like to train with food in my stomach. And two, I just like to get it out of the way at the start of the day, I think. I don't know how you guys train in the evening after a long day of work. So yeah, I like to have a black iced Americano or hot Americano because it is a bit cold now in Dubai. Wait for that to digest a little bit, probably half an hour before I train. I have that, and then obviously we'll go away and start the workout. Off we go to the workout. Welcome to the lovely Oxygen Gym. You're probably thinking, why does he have a bag before he's training? Well, yeah, because I left it inside. Well, I like to travel absolute light because, yeah, I just want to be in and out of the gym. People are surprised by that, but like my thing is just like getting it done 45 minutes to an hour and then being out ASAP. But yeah, welcome to Oxygen Gym, the biggest gym in the world. Well, I don't know if it's the biggest gym in the world. I think it's the biggest gym in the region, and it's quite far out, to be fair. It's like closest to like the airport, so it's not like into like the main part. And one thing I love about this gym, when you go in, you see some of the sick equipment. So yeah, I guess I need to stop yapping, right? Let's go. So we are doing a full body workout. So when it comes to doing a full body workout, I like to start with legs. Why? Because I find legs to be the most painful, and legs being the thing that most people are prone to avoiding. I don't mind training legs, but obviously today's session I'm going to be doing it in the back of the legs. So we're going to be doing a hamstring based exercise. Whereas earlier in the week, full body workout with the first one, obviously I tend to do a squat pattern, which obviously train the quads. Let me stop blabbering. Let me just go and do a leg curl. Leg curl machine. So a lot of people basically have it so it's like just on top of their calves. You don't want that, right? You want it like literally the pad just on top of your shin, okay? So when you then move down, or when you push the pad down, you can feel it properly in your hamstrings. I like the leg curl because this is probably one of the few exercises, especially that you can use in a machine, that works every single part of the hamstring. Go here. Now, I guess the disadvantage of doing full body is because you're training sort of a different muscle part per exercise. You have to sort of work or warm up each muscle, so to speak, which is fine. I don't really mind, but one of the things I like to do is do one warm-up set. After I've done a warm-up set, I'll go straight into my 2 working sets. Doesn't matter necessarily about how many sets you're doing. It matters more about the quality of their sets. Are you training hard? Are you training close to failure? That's the key aspect, right? So let's crack on. Yeah. So I've done my first set as a warm-up set. I'll then obviously now go and do 2 sets. I tend to work between 6 to 8 reps for each set. Now it does depend on the exercise and the movement, but I do shift my focus more towards low volume now. And again, I think that's what helps a lot of the time, just staying or spending less than 45 minutes in the gym. Because if you're only doing 2 sets, 6 to 8 reps, you're not spending a great deal of time at the gym. And I think the main reason why you're not spending that much time in the gym is because you're actually focusing and thinking about what you're doing. You're not just going through the motion, you're actually making sure each set is worth it and you're not having to spend tons of time in the gym. When it comes to resting between each set, 2 to 3 minutes. But my rule of thumb is just rest as long as you need until you can give the next set your very best. Now some of you are going to use that as an opportunity to be flicking about on Spotify, Instagram, social media, whatever it might be. I try and sort of stay off my phone for the most part, so I can just stay focused and locked in. And again, some of you might be thinking, how is this guy done with his workout after 45 minutes? You have to think, I've done a warm-up set, I've done a first set, and all I now have to do is one more working set, and then we move on to the next exercise, you know? So a lot of this is about training more intelligently, and the intelligent aspect comes from just training with more intensity. I always say more isn't better, better is better. Right. So even when you see me training there, you can see I'm mostly training from the shortened range. So I'm not necessarily going all the way to the top. One, I think because the weight was really heavy and I think I could have gone a bit higher. Does that mean that the weight or what I was doing is invalid? Definitely not. It is still taking it through enough range of motion to count as a rep. All right, next exercise we are going to be doing is a chest press. So I'll warm up on 2 plates and then we'll do a series of working sets on about 4.5 plates. So I'll do 4 plates and then 5 kg on each side and see how we get on. Cool. So one of the things that can get a bit annoying with a full body workout is if, for example, I was doing a push day, I think once I've done chest and I've warmed up on chest, very rarely will I warm up on shoulders because the chest exercise would have done, for example, a bench press like this, one of the secondary muscles is your shoulders, is your delts. So that will be warm already. So when I go into the next exercise, I wouldn't necessarily need to warm up my shoulders. I could just obviously kind of go in straight into working sets. So the biggest difference, I guess, with the full body that might feel a bit time consuming is you will tend to find yourself having to warm up. The only things that I won't warm up on is the isolation exercises that I do at the end. So biceps and triceps. No need to warm up on those because by the time we've done this chest exercise, I've done a back exercise, shoulder exercise, my arms will be warm. So, all right. Now for the working sets. Also, it's worth saying, tracking your numbers is very, very important. As you can see, I'm not actually physically using anything to track my numbers here. The reason that is I pretty much do the same exercises. And is it a good or a bad thing? I don't think it's good or bad. If you are progressing, and it depends what phase you are, I'm actually in the phase right now where I'm trying to get a bit stronger. I'm not trying to build more muscle, so to speak. I'm not really trying to drop fat. My goal really is more so maintenance. If I was obviously trying to take things to the next level, for example, build more muscle, I'd probably track a bit closer. But I do find, just like food, right? If you just are doing the same exercises, eating the same foods, then tracking things is relatively straightforward. I know that I usually do this specific exercise. It's usually 4 plates. And obviously if I'm feeling really naughty, I might add a 10 kg to the side. So yeah, 2-3 minutes rest, and then we go again for another set. You see what I mean? Look at the way I'm panting, like I've just run a marathon, all because of 5-6 reps. And this is what happens when you are training, like literally with heavy weight, and you're literally pushing yourself to failure, not just taking yourself through the motion or feeling the burn, right? When you're actually fully kind of loading the weight and pushing yourself to oblivion like you're going to war. It's a different kettle of fish, even if you're only doing 2 sets, which is what I'm doing for most of the exercise. Even the arm exercises, I'll probably only do 1 set of each. And people will go, oh, but don't you need to do so many more sets? No, you don't. So yeah, off we go to the next exercise, which is back. Let's go. So when it comes to back, there's essentially 2 ways you can train your back, right? And you just think about your elbow path. When I say elbow path, you want to think, what direction is my elbow moving in as I do the exercise? If the elbows are tucked in towards your torso, you are naturally going to hit more of your lats, okay, which is like this part of your back. And then if your elbows, kind of as you row, you're coming up to the side like so, you're essentially going to train your upper back. So again, the reason I'm telling you that is when you're thinking about doing your full body workouts, how you're obviously kind of dividing the exercises. So today, obviously, I'm going to do an upper back row because the first workout I did this week, I did a lat-based row. And I'm going to stop talking and let's just do this. So I did say, like, what you want to do is you don't really need to do anything to 6 to 8 reps. In situations when you find yourself on a machine or doing an exercise, or for example, if you train at home and the weight isn't that heavy, then yeah, by all means, the best way to load it is obviously to do more reps in this instance. Doing more reps in the second set than you did the first set. That tells you whether you're doing that first set, you weren't trying hard enough. At the very best case scenario, you may be able to match your numbers, but you shouldn't be able to beat it. Across the board, you should. Like, so if I come in next week, I might do 10 reps of this and then 9 reps in the second set, right? Which then would be better than what I did today. Right. Shoulders. I don't train a lot of shoulders, and one of the main reasons I don't train a lot of shoulders, my shoulders are quite overdeveloped. A lot of that is down to genetics. So even if I was to stick a picture of me up here, I've always sort of had rounded delts. I've been training for like 16 years now. When I first started training, my technique wasn't that good when I was doing chest exercises. And when you do chest exercises, you will tend to feel it more in the front delts. I will probably put them in once or twice in that 3-day split. Today's one of those days, so I'll do like a lat raise. Now, when it comes to warming up, I don't need to warm up on lat raises because I've already done a chest workout. And obviously when I was doing chest press, I would have warmed up my shoulders anyway. For these last couple exercises that we do, I won't necessarily need to warm up because pretty much trained all the muscle groups, some aspect anyway now, because a lot of the movements that we're doing were like compound-based movements. So multi-joint movements that allow you to work multiple parts of the muscle. All right. Biceps. Today I'm going to use the 𝐉𝐨𝐬𝐧 bar curls. You can do any curl, right? Every curl that you do is essentially going to work the same thing, okay, which is the long head and the short head. Now, before I hear lengthen and different elbow positioning, bro, like anytime you curl like this, right, you flex the elbow like so, you're essentially going to train both the short head and the long head of the bicep. Now, your forearms and your brachialis, which is like the muscle underneath the long head, is slightly different. That's going to get trained more if you do like hammer curls and so forth. But that will still be trained from doing standard curls. So I say this to say, if you're doing a full body workout, just having a curl variation in there is more than enough. In addition to obviously a back exercise in there, that's also going to train the bicep as well. I'm all here for efficiency, right? This shit works. And I know at the start I said you want to work towards 5 to 8 rep ranges. But when I go to my isolation exercises, I will tend to work more to the higher rep range just because I can, the movements aren't as big. Yeah, I just tend to go a bit higher. So I'll probably go around 10 to 12 reps. Right, last exercise, but not least, triceps. One of the things I'd say when it comes to triceps, and I didn't mention, you want like a nice little split stance between both. When it comes to extending, you want to fully extend your elbow. Often the mistake that I see people make when they're training their triceps is when they extend. It's like you're barely extending, right? You want that just a full extension as you obviously move through. Yeah. Yeah. It's probably the only exercise that you can do that allows you to hit all 3 heads of the triceps. Again, misconception, people think different head, different exercise. No, if you actually think about an exercise that allows you to obviously extend at the elbow and allows you to obviously train all 3 parts, especially the long head, right? And the long head can often be the hardest to miss because the medial and lateral head of the tricep can be hit in any sort of pressing variation, usually. But the long head's obviously a lot harder to train. So your best way to train that is obviously when you're doing a tricep extension. Saying, when it comes to your full body workouts, one of the things I like about it is it feels like what I've done isn't a lot, but it is a lot in the grand scheme of things, and it does add up, especially if you're doing 3 workouts like this across the week, or even sometimes 2 workouts across the week. The reason why you don't need to do that many exercises, you think of it like this, right? I just did a back exercise, or you need to do 2 back-to-back exercises of a back day. You'll find that if you were to do 2 back-to-back exercises in the same day, your ability to give the next exercise that you do, the next set of sets, your very best, is going to be a lot more challenging, right? Because you're tired, right? You've used a lot of your energy. Especially, for example, if you compare today when I started with the leg curl compared to when I got to the tricep extension. The tricep extension isn't going to get as much from me as maybe my legs were able, because I just have more energy, right? More power in the workout. So I think apply that same concept to thinking where you think, all right, cool. If I just go very, very hard with this specific exercise for this specific workout, when I turn up next week, I could go just as hard, if not sometimes even harder, again for that specific exercise and for that specific set. Why? Because you've had 2-3 days to rest. Yeah, you won't have that advantage if you're doing back-to-back of the same exercises in the same workout. Hopefully you've enjoyed this different type of YouTube video, which is sort of taking you through a full body workout. If you've enjoyed this one, drop me a comment. I can show you other examples of a full body workout. See you in the next one.